For more on this, I'm joined by Dr. William Booth. He's a lecturer in Latin American history. Dr. Booth, thank you for coming. So Antony Blinken's visit to Mexico is to try to find solutions against immigration. So can you remind us, please, what's at stake?
Well, for Blinken and for the AMLO government in Mexico, this is about a lot more than migration. Both sides are looking to gain something out of this, which is not simply about the flow of migrants. Part of the problem is that the US border has been closed at various points. It's also the fact that, as your report mentioned, this is a huge issue in the upcoming election. But on the Mexican side, it's important as well. Mexico introduced a new transit visa scheme, which has been very problematic and has meant that lots of people who have come to Mexico with the intention of traveling through Mexico to the United States haven't been given that paperwork. And when they get to the border, there are still these terrible conditions for people who are being held there under the agreement that AMLO made with Trump.
So what demands might the US make of Mexico?
Well, I'm sure they're going to demand a lot. They think they're trying to make this out as Mexico's problem. But of course, there's two important reasons why it isn't really Mexico's problem. One of which is that most of these migrants are not Mexican. They're coming from Central America, from Cuba, from Venezuela, from Haiti and elsewhere. And the other problem is most of them are not trying to get to Mexico. They're trying to get to the United States. What the US wants to do is make this Mexico's problem and keep people in Mexico. And actually, one of the reasons why there's so many people there on the border is that they're doing that. They've closed these crossings. But there's also another faction in the US government who are seeing this as a security issue, having so many people along the border. And this is why Blinken was accompanied by top officials from the Department of Homeland Security. It's not just about migration. It's being framed as a security issue too. But Mexico has demands too, and Mexico is in a stronger position to talk about this than it was a couple of years ago. They want to push the US to open talks with Cuba, to open talks with Venezuela, and to start directing resources to the countries of origin in a hope that this will stop this enormous transmigration of people through Mexico, as illustrated in these large-scale migrant caravans.
And so how is the US dealing now with this influx of migrants, which I remember has doubled actually since the pandemic?
Almost all of them are just being arrested and then turned away, or kept in detention near the border. There's not much so-called legal migration going on across the border at the moment. So the US has really slowed down that possibility. Mexico has also slowed down the possibility of moving through the country. So there are just vast numbers of people who are being kind of held in stasis between countries of origin and their ultimate destination. The US hasn't really addressed the fundamental issue here, which is why are so many people trying to get to the United States? It's not just about the fact that it's a rich country. It's because the US is involved in a lot of destabilizing policies in their countries of origin. And those things need to be linked up for there to be any kind of long-term solution to this.